first encounter. So we were coming up on our church anniversary, and it's always like a big thing. A lot of the church that are associated with our church, they would come. Everybody would like perform, do something different, sing, dance, recite a poem, something. So our pastor at the time, drumline was like really, really hot. So she wanted to do drumline. So she recruited a couple of, people in the church. I was in the band at my school, so she wanted me to be a part of it. And she put Therese on the cymbals. I don't think he knew what he was doing,
I didn't know what I was doing.
but
I never been. I played football, basketball, ran track. I did sports. Music was not my thing.
yeah. So that's what made me first like notice him. I'm like, what is he doing?
Chiming.
He was just chiming, like the little monkey, the little clink clink monkey.
That thing.
So yeah, and then so a lot of times like we'll be waiting, or somebody else is doing another part, and all the rest of us we're kind of just sitting around waiting for the next time when we're supposed to go up. And I mean, he's just talking. He's not talking a lot. Everybody's chiming in, but then he would like say something. We would just like all just like bust out laughing. And I was just like, man, he cute. He is real cute. He got a little sense of humor. And I was like, okay, I see you, sir. I see you. I said, okay, I'm gonna keep my eye on you.
For me, I was transferred into a building where my wife was working at the time. And a couple of gentlemen, staffers, after about the third month in, was saying that, there's a young lady they wanted me to meet. And so we made several attempts to go up to the floor where she worked. They kept saying she's a classy lady, just right for you. And I said, okay, so we made all these attempts. Finally, one day, I came up on the floor inadvertently, and there she was. Sitting there, it looked like a sunburst sitting behind her. She's got to be the one. I said, she has to be the one they're talking about. So I went over there and I presented myself. So that's how we met, as far as my end.
At the time, I was working at a temp company as reception work for a legal firm downtown Baltimore. And at that time, I wasn't dating anyone. I hadn't been dating anyone for about 2 years. Out of the blue, I see this door open to my left, and it was one of the elevators. Again, my desk was in this open area, and it wasn't any walls, so I pretty much was in the reception area, and the elevators were on both sides of the building. So what is it called? The service elevator?
Yes.
The service elevator door open. I hear this ding, and I'm sitting there and I'm working, and I'm like, okay. And the door opened, and it seemed like it was going to close again, but then here Johnny comes out. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Saying to myself, I can finally get the chance to see this new gentleman and what he looks like and who he is. And he gets off looking like this tall drink of water. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. So and then the strangest thing was he was approaching my desk. And I'm thinking like, why is he coming over here to me? I didn't call anyone about service or anything, because at the time he's working as the technician within the building. So I'm like, why is he coming over to my desk? So he walks over and he was like, hi, how you doing? And he leans on my desk counter all suave and everything, and is like, yeah, Don Juan and everything. I was like, okay. So I was like, hi. He's like, well, good morning. And I was like, how you doing? He was like, well, my name is Johnny. And he went on to say, I was informed about you, from Thomas and Everett. And they, told me that I, should come over and say hello to you and meet you and things. I was like, well, okay. I said, well, how you doing? And he proceeded to say, that he tried to meet me a couple of times. And however, I wasn't at the desk. Every time he came up, I was always gone. And this particular time, I happened to be there. So we started having more conversation. And then he was like, well, just wanted to let you know. He said, I would be honored if you will allow me to take you out for an evening on the town and take you out for dinner. And I hesitated because I'm thinking of the conversation previously that I had with God. And I proceeded to say no, and the words said, if you go that route, and before I can get out, I was stopped and paused, and I was like, I looked at him, and I was like, I will be on it as well. I look forward to going out with you. So
Our first encounter was at a retail store called Family Dollar. I was a manager there at Family Dollar, and Paula came in the store. And when she came in the store, you know, she had on like some little jogging pants and a little scarf or something around her head.
I was tore up.
But anyway, I had a high theft at that particular store in Mount Pleasant, and like I said, I had a high theft rate. And when she came in, the way she was dressed, I started actually screening her because I thought maybe she was coming to my store to steal. And so I immediately came down from my office and I says, excuse me, young lady, you need some help with anything? And she quickly said, no. And I was, caught off guard by the way, how fast she said no. And I was like, wait a minute, why did she say no so quickly? So now I'm really thinking, oh yeah, she ain't trying to steal something. So now I'm watching her. So I walk off and I come back about 90 seconds later. And I asked her again, I said, excuse me, ma'am, you sure you don't need any help with anything? And she goes, no, I told you no the first time. And I was like, okay. And I kind of like it kind of started me a little bit. I kind of took offense to it because I was like, hold on, she like really, really answered me too quick. Is she trying to turn me down? Because in my mind, I'm already like looking at her kind of like, oh, she look kind of good, And so she walked off to a different aisle in the store, and I eased right on up on her again. I said, why you won't let me help you? She said, because, what did you say?
It's a Family Dollar. The store ain't but so big.
Yeah, it's a Family Dollar store ain't but so big. And plus, I've been living here all my life, so I know where everything at. I was like, oh, okay. And I started asking her a couple little questions and everything. I was like, you married? And she was like, yeah. Why you ask me that? And I said, because I just asked. I was like, all right, I'll back up off of you. And something just told me to ask her, say, well, are you happy? And she said, no. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Well, why you won't let me help you then? So that was kind of like our first encounter when we, met each other and everything, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you put a lot of sugar on that story.
Yeah.
Put a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I'll tell y'all my brother. Because his is it's cute. But I was in a store, and I was a hot mess. It was late December, and I was the office manager at the H&R Block. So I had to come into the store with a headscarf on. My head was peasy. I had lotion on. I was tore up from the floor up. And I looked bad because I was coming in to buy cleaning supplies to clean my office to get it ready for tax season. So I was frustrated that I had to clean my office. My hair wasn't done. And he labeled me as a thief when I walked through the door.
Sure did. I sure did.
So thinking that I was a thief, that already had me mad because he was watching me like I was coming to steal. It's a Family Dollar.
Like a hawk. Watching her like a hawk.
The most expensive thing was like $6. So what was I going to steal? But anyway, so when he asked me, I was literally looking at, I think I was looking at pens.
Pens, yeah.
Or something. So I didn't need help. Like, you saw pens and you saw paper. You either need blue, black, or red. Like, there was no in-betweens. So I was just like, this dude is really just aggravating me. But when he asked me, I noticed that he had an accent. It was a Georgia accent. And he had that little shorty twang. So I was like, okay, I kind of like it, but I'm not going to play easy, And so when he asked me again, I was like, this dude is just like really, really adamant. Like, I have been coming to the store. This man has never said anything to me.
I never saw it before.
And now all of a sudden I'm interested. I was like, I look bad though. It's like, you need to see me cute. You would really like me. So when he did ask the question if I was married, I was actually separated. My ex-husband was in the military and he was stationed overseas. So
Right.
we hadn't seen each other
Right.
for almost 8 months. So, but we
Yeah,
were,
so don't y'all get no
Yeah.
ideas.
so we hadn't talked. So I wasn't happy. I was
Right.
almost feeling like a single mom with 2 kids, and here I am, and this man is just following me in the store like I'm coming to steal and asking me if I'm happy or not. Which that question threw me a little bit because people usually stop at, "Are you married?" You give them an answer. And like, I've never had somebody ask me if I was happily married, at least not from another guy.
When I first met my wife, I thought she was an older woman. I thought she was much older than she appeared. She was in her Erykah Badu face. Yeah,
I was.
with the turban and everything. And so, church. I met her in church. Definitely met her in church and chased her. You know, I had to find out who she was. I had a good friend that actually went to school with her, and you know how we do. You try to get some information on who she is, what she's about. But actually, I met her father first, and her father is the one that actually brought her to my forever, if you would say.
To a Bible study.
Yeah, to a Bible study. And after that, I haven't been able to get rid of her since.
My first encounter with this young man here was at Bible study. I'm not sure if it was the same night that he is referring to, but it was a worship service, and he was playing the keyboard. And I remember you started to worship and you were crying, and I was just amazed and in awe at this young man that was worshiping God in the way that he was. And that is what attracted me to him. But I still waited for him to approach me. As far as our first encounter, it was through a mutual friend. And he was shy to speak to me because he thought, I now know, he thought I was older. And, but when we finally did connect, it was over the phone. When he finally asked for my phone number.
Mynisha J. Rogers, minister, entrepreneur, and author of the Healing Network book states, "The key to believing, receiving, and maintaining our healing is found in our network, which consists of the FAR principle: faith, action, and relationships." She reminds us that God still heals. He healed before, He is healing now, and He will heal again. So now is the time to believe, receive, and maintain your healing. Get your copy today.
To me, she was more outgoing than I was. She made me laugh. I just enjoyed her company, and she was always around. So that was one of the things that pretty much attracted me to her.
Well, Therese was like a mystery, and I'm always up for a challenge. And I'm like, this man does not talk very much. Like, you know, we could be, you know, there's like another building that we would be in, and it would have like pool tables and stuff like that. And a lot of times he would just be by himself. So I would just, you know, I would see him. I'm like, hey, what you doing? Why you over here by yourself?
I was relaxing.
He was relaxing.
In my own space.
He was staying out of the way. And, you know, that just like drew me, like, he's different. I've never met anybody like, you know, like this. Like, it was like that dark and mysterious, you know, type of, you know, vibe going on. And I wanted to see what that was about.
We started doing lunch dates, and to get familiar with each other, learn about each other. And during the time of the conversations, you know, the laughter and some of the family background, some of the interests that I had for the female that I was, you know, trying to pursue, she hit all the markers. So at that point, I felt that about, I'm gonna say, about fourth, fifth date into it on the lunches, I felt that I need to put everything into this to see if it's going to go where I want it to go. So that's what I did. I dumped everything into it and treated her like I always wanted to treat a lady that, headed towards a more permanent relationship.
And for me, it was I was pretty much tired of the guys that I were dating. A lot of them were around my age, maybe a max of 4 years older than me. And it was the thing that within conversation, they just couldn't meet my intellect. They would give, having conversations, giving one word answers. They didn't have any type of thought about the future, no career, nothing about family. And it's funny how when you start thinking about your future and the type of man you want to date and really looking for husband material, a lot of this gets amplified. When you're out there having fun and you're in the dating scene, you into it. You're into the dating scene and not really taking all that stuff kind of serious. But like Johnny said, he and I were, on these, doing on these lunch dates and everything. And it was one time where he drove me home. And I think it was just, us talking and being out for the day. And he drove, and at that time I was living with my mom. And we pulled up at the back door and pretty much sat in his car. And we started talking some more, and then the next thing you know, the conversation, at first it was kind of deep. Then we started lightening up on the subjects, and then we started talking about little small things, just how your mind makes your toes work, and how your mind knows to make this finger work, and it was just so much fun, because it's like, gosh, I'm pretty much like a kid at heart, and I could be simple at times, and I really wanted a man that could pretty much be the same with me. And don't find me pretty immature about topics, that we talked about. And we found that we can talk about anything. I mean, we started laughing and we was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, oh my God, you think the same? And we started talking about nature and walks and how we like looking at butterflies and how the skies, it's just, like I said, down to the smaller details of things. And it was just very refreshing. And it was very light. And then the next thing you knew, we were outside until about midnight. So that means that we were pretty much in the car for about 6 to 8 hours, just talking about everything.
I didn't really consider another relationship because I was technically still in one. So for me, at that moment, it wasn't about courtship. It was more about finding somebody to be a friend, finding somebody to listen and to kind of be there, and to have the patience for me to completely close the door that I already had open. Like, I didn't need 2 people in one room. I just needed to have some time to get over one thing before I started something else. From what he's told me, it was a little bit different for him, but for me, courtship came, after I was completely divorced from my first marriage. So
it's my turn now?
Yeah.
Yes, she would not let me come around, like, period. Would not let me come around. She was very, very respectful of the situation that she was going through with her ex-husband. And for me, I that's kind of what kind of triggered, me really wanting to pursue her. It was a challenge. And I think what really kind of pushed me in the direction of sticking in and going through the motions and, the fight to gain her trust, to gain her love, was a little conversation I had with my auntie. And pretty much I called my aunt and I told my aunt, I said, I think I found my wife. And she said, how do you know you found your wife? I said, because I just got this whole crazy feeling that came over my body. I got weak when I saw this woman, and this never happened to me before. And I was like, but it's only one thing. And she said, what's that? I said, she already married. My auntie said, well, that ain't your wife then. That ain't going to be your wife. And I said, no, it ain't like that, auntie. She's going through a divorce, and her and the guy have been separated for a while, and the situation is kind of complicated. She said, well, you just hang in there. And she told me to trust God. She said, you hang in there, you trust God, and if you think this is your wife, God will work it all out for you. And you know, her putting up that challenge and being strong and standing by what she believed in as far as being loyal to the person she was with was one reason why I never gave up on her.
You know, I think a lot of the times we as men, we act like we don't know, but sometimes, you know, I'm not going to go as far as saying it's like a love at first sight type thing, but there's something that clicks and you know that this is the one. You know, just from the first encounter or the first opportunity that you get to, you know what I'm saying, speak and explore, you know, and learn about each other. But I would say that mother's approval, I would say mother's approval. You know, you can introduce, you know, people to your parents or whatever, but normally they don't speak on it. Normally they don't say anything about it. But this particular time, my mother was like, hey, if you don't mean her no good, leave her alone. And I was like, wow, she's never said that about anybody else. So I kind of gave me another confirmation that, yeah, this is the one I'm going to pursue right here.
As for me, I don't think I was ready at the very beginning. I know I wasn't ready when you first were asking me, but I knew
You were involved.
I was involved, somewhat involved, but I was
Boyfriend.
having fun.
A boyfriend.
And I knew that this relationship could be a serious relationship.
Okay.
So I had to make sure that I was ready for a serious relationship versus just hanging out, having fun, not necessarily being claimed or committed. So at some point, I did decide to commit after many talks.
It was one particular talk. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. You called me and was like,
I called you?
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I was in Myrtle
I did.
Beach on one of those spring break or something with some friends, man. You called me like 7 o'clock in the morning and was like, Barry, I'm ready. I'm ready to be in a relationship.
I said like that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to not have the opportunity to see what it could be.
I want to be a part of bringing excellent and compelling content to life. From finding talent as a casting director to producing strong projects for television and film. There's something amazing and beautiful when the casting director can help usher the actor into transforming into a character, helping them to see and be the character, understanding the character's life story without seeing a face because they're the face.
You happy? I thought when I gave myself up, that was enough for you to be happy. But obviously not. Obviously not.
My purpose is a gift from God, and I'm honored and humbled by it. Oprah Winfrey once mentioned that you know you're doing what you're purposed to do when you can do it for hours on end. I'm excited to be able to live in my purpose and bring Simone Baldwin Productions to serve and deliver.
He was able, like, I'm the loud one. He's the quiet one, but when we were together, we would balance each other out. He would kind of like give me that look like, yo, you're doing too much. And I'm like, you're right, I am. Let me chill. He knew how to kind of, ring me in, but not, like disrespectful. He treated me like a queen. He was just always, there for me. Anything that I would, tell him, he would not like give me that side eye. He didn't judge. He was just, okay, well, how about you try this?
Vice versa for me. She was loud, in the spotlight, center of attention, funny. She was caring. She would actually go out her way for me. She would buy little things here and there, unexpectedly. Yeah.
I did. I would like buy him little stuff. Like I used to work at Old Navy, and like we would have like a little T-shirt sale, and I know that he would wear their T-shirts. So how I would, get him a couple of T-shirts. I knew that he liked the it was a scent from Bath and Body Works, and so I would just buy like the lotion and like the little soap or the bubble bath stuff, and I would just like, here, I got you something.
Yeah, out of the blue.
I was like a little sugar mama a little bit, just a little bit,
Yeah,
just a little bit. I ain't
Sugar
have.
baby.
I was like a sugar baby,
Not
but
sugar mama, sugar baby.
I ain't have a lot of sugar. But whatever I could, do. I was always thinking of him, like, what can I get him? What's your favorite candy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not buy him,
No.
but I just wanted to show him my appreciation.
Yeah.
For me, Johnny was a career man. He was a father figure type person. He was humorous. He was loving. He was genuine. He was just and he gave me a sense of security. And just very loving and a kind man. And I like that he that he believes that he believes in God, and he know of God, so that was very important to me as well.
Yes. I'm going to say she fit the same characteristics for me. I have 2 children from another relationship, and it was very important to me that the young lady that I introduced them to be more of a permanency. I didn't want them to be like in and out with different people. So the way she loved children, people, so I introduced her to my children, and the way she approached them was breathtaking to me. Excuse me. So I knew she was the fit.
I guess for me, it was the amount of patience that he showed me, because it was a tough situation. Like for him, I didn't keep him in the dark about a lot of things, but he knew I had children. He knew I lived in Mount Pleasant. He knew I was going through divorce, but he didn't meet my children. He didn't come to my house. If we went out, it was what they consider to be Dutch. I drove my own car. I spent my own money. It was never a time where I was dependent on him as a person. I always stood 2 feet down and I did everything myself. I never expressed to him any, I guess, family or children or personal problems. I always just brought to him issues with just understanding and trying to think why men do what they do, and if it was something that I needed to work on as a person. And when she was willing to be that person for me, not so much of a hero, but more of somebody that understood that I had a lot going on and that rushing me wasn't the answer.
Right.
And just the amount of patience and consideration and understanding that he showed, just like it shined brighter than anything I could have asked for. Because I was asking God for all of these things. I want somebody to be understanding, that can listen, that, God-fearing, not light-handed, but love hugs. I had this list, and I didn't have it the first go around. I just wanted what I wanted. But this time I was very specific with the characteristics that I wanted in a mate, in a husband. And when he started to show me those, I don't think I ever told him I had this specific of a list, but I definitely tried to eliminate the walk like a duck, quack like a duck. It's a duck.
You told me about the list later on. You was like, yeah, you meet a lot of the qualifications on my list, and I was like, oh, you got a little checklist you checking off.
I did.
And it was kind of comical at the time, but for me, I mean, it was the fact that some of the similar qualities. She was patient. One thing, like I said, was the loyalty that she displayed, as far as just being loyal. And she, like I said, she had never allowed me to come around. I never got to meet her kids. I think it was like a year after the divorce that I finally got a chance to meet the kids. I heard a lot about them, and it was a situation that I was willing to take on because, I love kids. I love being around kids. I love mentoring kids. I love, the challenge of just raising kids, And to me, just like I said, what stood out was her respect, her strength, because her ex-husband took her through a lot. And that was on full display as we were developing our friendship. And so that was something that I could really appreciate about her, and that made me continue on pursuing her. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Maturity. Like I said in the beginning, maturity, because I thought that she was older, and that was something different that I hadn't been accustomed to, because, you know, I guess you'd say playful stages or just courting stages, nobody's really serious, but she was, you know, just very mature from the very beginning. Like I said, I thought she was, you know, 25, 26 years old. It was just the way that she carried herself. So, yeah.
He thought he was going to get an older woman.
Yeah.
That's what you was after.
I'll turn you into a cougar.
You wanted a cougar. However, I guess for me, it was, like I said, that first encounter of seeing really who he was on the inside. He is very playful. But when I saw that side of him, I knew that there was husband material there as far as my forever was going to be. But like I said, not knowing at that time that I wanted to be serious, I had to make a decision about whether or not, you know, to engage when he asked me, because I didn't want to be, you know, I don't want to play with this opportunity. I really did see you as a great opportunity, babe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't think about that until now, but.
Yeah.